Waking up, going to school, playing football, practice after school, weekends normally try to get some field work in, hang out with friends, stuff like that.
That was Jake Chapman's daily routine until September 27th.
Honestly, I think Chad and I looked at each other and we just thought, if our son can walk out of this hospital, we're going to count that as the biggest miracle.
And we were talking, and all of a sudden I hear this noise that I'd never heard before. I thought at first that he was choking, which he may have been. Cardiac arrest was the furthest thing from my mind.
His parents, Chad and Rachel, thought he was possibly having a seizure because of a concussion he got during a football game the week before.
I could tell that he was not breathing. And I remember starting CPR, checked for a pulse, could not get a pulse, so I started chest compressions.
Jake went into sudden cardiac arrest, something they never saw coming.
We have a pretty strong family bond with our 3 kids, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we only have 2 kids. You know, it was just so heartbreaking.
As Chad continued CPR, Rachel called 911. Jake was taken to Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, where the Chapmans waited.
We still thought the heart stopped as a result of something else, the concussion, a seizure, choking, the fact that he had had a sudden cardiac arrest. You hear about athletes having enlarged hearts that they, were not aware of. That wasn't what Jake had.
Jake's heart went into ventricular fibrillation, commonly known as VFib, a life-threatening arrhythmia that causes poor blood flow and potentially sudden death. He was placed on a ventilator and in a medically induced coma. 6 days later,
I don't really remember much. I just remember waking up in the hospital.
He woke up. His road through rehab and recovery had begun, and so did his desire to get back on the court.
Jake's an athlete, and he was going to do anything that it took to get himself back out.
The Satyrs basketball team was just about to start the 2024 season. Not yet cleared by his doctors, Jake was at practice every day, sitting, watching, hoping.
He started day 1 with us as practice. He couldn't do anything at that point in time but stand around, shoot a little bit, but not much even that. So, that was a little bit more difficult for him, but he was there every day.
Shocking his doctors and parents, Jake was soon cleared to return to basketball little by little.
It felt weird, like the first time running felt weird, just going through all that again. But obviously it feels good to be back and able to practice and play rather than sitting on the sidelines and just watching everyone.
You could see Jake's smile being just a little bigger and a little brighter every day that he got to participate in. Now we're at a point where, it's not totally off limits to anything yet, but it's very workable.
Jake checked into his first game of the season back on January 17th. He didn't play much that night.
It feels really good, just to be back and playing in front of that crowd, something like that. You just can't ask for that type of stuff.
But his minutes continued to increase. His comeback complete. According to the American Heart Association, more than 350,000 cardiac arrests happen outside of the hospital every year. Just 10% of people survive, and with Jake being a part of those lucky few, he and his family are now on a mission to teach others how to perform hands-only CPR and have a plan. Matt Johnson from the American Heart Association worked with the boys basketball team at Unity to teach them hands-only CPR and stresses the best thing you can do is help.
So a lot of times people think that when they jump in to conduct hands-only CPR on someone, that they could, injure the person. Well, they're already by nature dead, right? So there's nothing you can do, but help them in that situation. And it can double or triple the person's chances of survival.
Jake is alive today because his dad had a plan.
There's no scarier or helpless feeling than a loved one laying at your feet, not breathing, no heart rate, and you don't know what to do.
Chad's plea to anyone who will listen.
I just want to beg people to make sure that if you're ever in that situation, you know what to do. Because I could not imagine if the results were different.